So, but I felt so honored. See, we were talking before about who is a senior devotee. Who is a senior devotee is one who makes others, who wants to bring others up to perfection. And just like a parent wants to bring a little baby up to perfection, so he encourages them and nurtures them. And the baby may pass stool and urine all over the parent, or what is that when they dribble? Drool. But the parent just keeps on nurturing and encouraging. So, so all the devotees were surrounded by Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said that. So I felt so honored. And then he invited me up to paint in his own quarters. So there was the room where Prabhupada did what we called bells. That is, he had 2 bells. He had 2 bells. One, you have another one? They were both the same size. There were 2 bells and he used to ring them both. And it made a very deep resonating sound. So in his, like that. So in his quarters, we would watch him every evening. He would make an offering of a wooden bowl of cut up fruit on the altar, and the altar was shaped, the altar was exactly that size of that larger table, and they were big, big vases of gladiola flowers. You all know gladiolas like one on top of another? And so he looked like he was in this Vrindavan forest. He would sit in the middle of the big vases of gladiolas. And then downstairs in the temple room, he had this purple, what we call the lectern, which was the first, the Vyasasana of the olden days. And so it was a purple velvet lectern. And again, on the 2 sides of him were these giant vases, very beautiful gladiolas. So Prabhupada would ring the bells and say Om Agyanam and offer the fruit. And we'd all be sitting around him. And sometimes we'd be putting on tilak with him, and he'd pass the Achman cup and the tilak. And nobody ever trained me to put on tilak. So I went like that and started putting on the tilak. And he just like glanced at me for 1 second, but he didn't say anything. He could have said a lot. He saved his chastisements for a little later. In the beginning, he was just very encouraging. Even once, when I was making the frame for the painting of Gaurnitai, I was finishing it up in his quarters. And I went to the lumber shop and got some very thin plywood frames, and I painted them a greenish blue. And Prabhupada even, because there was no hammers then in his quarters, so he gave me, like, the mortar and pestle, to use as a hammer, and he was helping me hammer the nails into the thin frame. And then, so I would leave at night, travel the hour and a half to my parents' house in the Bronx, and then come back the next day. So I came back the next day, after the nailing, and Prabhupada said in a very even tone, very humble, "Please be careful with the nails, I stepped on one." So like I was totally crushed. And he could have chastised me then too, but he was just ever so polite. And then when I was in the middle of the painting, I would leave the painting on the floor, leaning against the wall of Prabhupada's quarters, in the same room that he would do the bells. And so I would leave it on the floor, and then the next morning when I would come in, I would see the painting on a pillow, because Prabhupada had put it on a pillow to show me to be respectful. Also, Prabhupada told me actually how to paint. Well, of course, as he told someone who asked, "How can I paint like Jadharani?" So Prabhupada said, "I have taught her how to paint Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare," by chanting. And then a few years later, he said in the beginning she could not paint. But by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, the talent is coming out. Showing the power of what we should take shelter in to learn anything. So, I forgot what I was... He said, oh yeah, that's right. So he taught me the spiritual way to paint, but he also taught me a grid system. That is, you make a checkerboard on the picture. First you divide it in half, then you divide those in half, then you divide that in quarter, then you get 8. And the same thing the other way. And then you do the same thing on a blank canvas, like with charcoal or paint. And then you copy each box so that you get it accurate. But still I didn't get it accurate. But even though I didn't get it accurate, there was some Indians who came to visit Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada gave them some sweets. It was probably the pera that Srila Gurudev had sent him from Mathura. Gurudev said he used to send Prabhupada boxes of pera, which is a very wonderful Indian sweet, and then Prabhupada would distribute them. So Prabhupada gave the sweet to the Indians, and the Indians put it to their head, showing us how we should respect prasadam, because we didn't know anything. So then Prabhupada pointed to my painting through the window. That is, it was a window from his room to the room that I was painting in. And I was sitting in his room while he was speaking to the Indians. And so he pointed to my painting of Radha and Krishna that I did, which was a copy of the Radha and Krishna painting on the cover of his Bhagavatams. And he said, she is not painting from her own imagination. Her paintings are coming from the dictation of higher authorities. Like, you know, it's so wonderful, mystical, and great. So he always made me feel good. One time he used me in an analogy. I'm not saying this for my own glorification. I'm just showing how the pure devotee encourages, teaching us by his own example, how now we're the, not pure, but older devotees, so how we should be with others to encourage them to come in the line of bhakti. So he was giving an analogy at his first temple where I first met him, at 26 2nd Avenue. And he was saying how Krishna's absolute and Krishna's complete, no matter how much is emanating from him, like even universes are emanating from him, but still he remains the complete balance. He doesn't become less. So Prabhupada gave the analogy of the sun, that since the beginning of time, the sun is emanating infinite degrees of heat and light, but still the sun remains as hot. It's not getting cooler. He said, just like our Jadharani, she is doing so many paintings, but she has not reduced. So he would just encourage in so many different ways. Once I remember because we were in a really slum, this was like the pits of slum. There were just like drunken bums lying on the streets right outside the temple. So once some boys came in and opened the door and threw some garbage in. So then the temple president, the first temple president, he came out and was roughing the boys up. So then, naturally the boys wanted to take...
Okay.
Hi there, Anupam and Hare Krishna Buddha. Okay, it's good?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we? Oh, so they threw a rock in the whole big picture window, the whole thing broke. So then Prabhupada came to visit and stayed for a month or so. And one of the devotees asked Prabhupada, was that Maya that broke the window? So Prabhupada said, Maya is within the window, without the window. Wherever there's a slack in chanting Hare Krishna, Maya is there. So now we know. If ever Maya comes to us, we know why. Just like in his Back to Godhead cover, he would have his phrase, his motto, Krishna is light, Maya is darkness. Wherever there's light, there can be no darkness. Wherever there's Krishna, there's no Maya. And it's another encouragement that he gave, even though I was like really totally unworthy of it, because this was a year or two later, after Prabhupada married me and Satsvarup. Prabhupada was giving a class in the Boston temple. Now we've jumped for a moment to Boston, and so I came late because I just had a fight with my husband, so I was real mad, and so I came in late, and the kirtan was already over, and everybody was bowing down, and Prabhupada was saying the Jayadwani prayers. And so let's say here's the Vyasasana, here's all the devotees, they're facing Prabhupada, he's saying the Jayadwani prayers, and the front door, here's the front door. So I came in the front door and all the devotees are bowing down. And Prabhupada's seeing me coming in late. He could easily have said something. But instead, he quietly pointed up to the painting of Sita, Ram, Hanuman, and Lakshman that I had painted before he came. And I'd actually just copied an Indian print. I didn't make it up or anything. But the only thing that I did that was different from the Indian print was that Ram was blue in the Indian print, and I knew from Prabhupada that he was greenish, like Durva grass. So Prabhupada said, "Did you do that picture?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You are already in Vaikuntha." That was, in my state of mind. You know my state of mind. And before Prabhupada came, I was working very hard to fill up all the walls of the temple with paintings, the different paintings that he had ordered me to do a year or two earlier in New York, which was a picture of Prabhupada and his Gurudev, and Panchatattva, and what else? Oh, the Rasa Leela, Krishna and Radha and the 8 gopis, the one that you see in the Krishna book, and a couple of others. Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And so I filled up the whole walls. So when Prabhupada came, he first said, first of all, we must thank Jadharani for these paintings, because she has given us life in Krishna consciousness. Can you imagine? It's just like a little kid. Oh, you're so intelligent. Tamaladu. Actually, that's what Gurudev was explaining so many years later, like when I met him about 26 years later. He was saying how the Majjhima Adhikari, or if we want to try to come to Majjhima Adhikari, we should deal differently with different kinds of devotees. Like you worship and serve with reverence the pure devotee, those who are Majjhima Adhikaris but superior to you, you serve with, you're friendly to them but with service. Those who are equal to you, you're friendly to them with sharing friendship. Those who are Majjhimas but subordinate to you, you are friendly with giving the nectar instructions. And those that are just coming in, you're encouraging, like, oh, you're so intelligent. Here, have a laddu. You're so intelligent. I think you're ready for Diksha. So Srila Prabhupada was just like that. I'm just seeing this mat here, and it reminds me of when we went to visit him in New Jersey. Actually, this was before he opened up the Boston Temple. This was in 1967, just before Srila Prabhupada went back to India for the first time. And he was in the hospital in New York, so-called suffering from a heart attack. And we all went to visit him, two each day, to visit him in the hospital. And I'll get to the mat in a minute.